Okay, so this video we'll be creating a UI dial. I saw this, came across it on Instagram. I thought, hey, I can make this in Blender. Look cool. So let's get started. It's really simple anyway, nothing too complicated, some simple modeling. So we're going to start with a cylinder. Now the cylinder properties, before you start moving around and clicking stuff, I'm going to change some of these properties. So I'm just going to increase this to 64. And change that depth to 1. We'll adjust the scale later, but it just, just to save you some time. 64 and set the depth to 1. Okay. Now we can go into edit mode here. And we want to scale this in, so S to scale in. And let's look at it from the side here. This is quite deep, so I don't want it too deep, so I'm going to bring this up a little. There we go. Maybe like this. It's up to you how much of how big you want this dial to be. Now I want to add the edge loop in the middle here. So I'll select that, click the edge loop, the loop cut, select the middle, boom. With the edge loop selected, right click, say bevel edge. Oh, before we do that, my mistake, so I'll just undo that. Scale this in, like so. Now it looks like an old safe dials for safe, But smoothing this out, that's why we beveled the edge. I forgot to scale that in. There we go. Now as we increase the segments, you'll see it starts to smoothen out. Boom. Which is the look we were looking for. And then we can change the width like this. So I'm happy with that. Now I'm going to select that top face and just shift it up slightly. There we go. That looks nice. So kind of slope, nice slope here. Anyway, we want to bevel this top edge. So before I do that, I'm just going to go to object mode. And if I hit Control A, I'm just going to apply it with transformations. Now I'll go back into edit mode. But sometimes it doesn't work, bevel edges doesn't. But now select the bevel edge, so this top loop. So I'll select the first edge, hold Alt, select the second, selects the entire loop. Right click, bevel edge. There we go. Now we get a nice bevel. And we can reduce the segments. Say 3 is okay. Now it's up to you how much of a bevel you want at the top. If you want it really big, entirely up to you. If you want it small, want it really subtle, so it just catches a bit of the light, entirely up to you. Okay, again, now with this bottom half here, we're going to select this edge loop at the bottom. We're going to extrude down, like so. And then we're going to just put a little bevel on this edge here. So I'm going to select Alt, select this loop here, right click, bevel edge. Okay. Now I just want a tiny bevel. It's up to you. You can have it massive. You can increase the segments and then have a bigger bevel if you want it. It depends on the look you want. I'll just want a small one, really subtle. Anyway, now I can go back out of edit mode. Go back to object mode here. Now I'll right click this and say shade auto smooth. I've got a nice dial, looks like a puck. Now let's put a little indentation in here. So we're going to apply a modifier. Really simple. Boolean. Okay, and we need to assign an object to that Boolean. So we're going to say mesh. I'm going to use a UV sphere. Now if we look at it from above and go into wireframe, we can scale this down. S to scale. I'm just going to scale it generally in. Now move this across. And if I look at it from the side, I can move this up. And maybe I'll scale it a tiny bit bigger. There we go. Move this in. So it doesn't, you can choose how deep you want this to go. So if you want it like halfway, entirely up to you. I don't want it all the way in. I want it slightly indented. And what we're going to do is I'll go back to shaded mode here. Before we do the Boolean, say select this object, I'm going to just smooth this out. So smooth shade this out. So now it'll give us a nice smooth Boolean. So object, click the sphere. Now if I hide the visibility of that sphere, you can see it's nice and smooth. if this sphere here was, if we didn't shade smooth this and we went back to the flat shaded and I hide this, you can see it's not smooth. Yeah, that affects this. So let's just shade smooth, and you can turn this off. There we go. And we've got a nice indentation. It's looking good. If you're happy with that and you know you want to apply the Boolean, you can just say apply, and then you can get rid of this sphere. You can rename this object to dial. Just double click the name dial, name your objects. Okay, so next I want to do is add a plate underneath. So it could just be anything. So I'm just going to use a plane, and I'll scale this slightly bigger and move this down like so. So this is below the dial on this. And what this is, I'm going to rename this glow. So this will be our glow. We'll apply a emissive material to this. Okay, and let's add a plate now. So we just need another plate. So we can just do in the second plane, and this one can be big. This is going to be our main plate. And what we're going to do is just put a Boolean on this, apply Boolean to this. There's nothing too complicated, Boolean, and then we're going to add a mesh cylinder. If we look at it from the top, the wireframe, then we can say how much do we want, you know, to reveal. So I'll say maybe this. So there's a space between the dial and this plate. Okay. Select the plate, object, and I'm going to select that cylinder. You can see we've got now a Boolean here where it's cutting into this plate, revealing the glow underneath. Okay, so we'll go back into shaded mode and we turn off that cylinder. You can see here, and we'll reveal that gap. Next, what I'll do, actually, I'll apply another modifier to this now. I want to solidify this. There we go. Solidify, and let's also see if we can add a bevel to this. Let's see. There we go. We add a bevel to that, and we can change the increase those segments, maybe 3, and break that value down. There we go. So now I have a nice bevel. Right click, shade, auto smooth, boom. Looking nice. Okay. Actually, smooth shade. Or let's leave it shaded flat. And let's select. No, just this. Auto smooth is fine. Okay, so let's apply some materials to this and improve this a bit better. I don't like these edges here, but I'll ignore this one now. Hopefully we won't notice it. Anyway, let's click on our viewport shading mode, scene world. There we go. You can see we've got this nice UI puck, you know. Let's apply a material to this. So we're going to click on the dial. I'm going to say new. I'm just going to this plastic. Okay. That's what we only need to make 2 materials really. So this one we'll call plastic. Now you can choose whatever color you want. And we're going to go to the shading tab. Okay. Just get really close to the object so we can see it a little bit better. Now you can change around the roughness. So if you want a really shiny, you know, really glossy plastic, you can. If you want it rough, you can. If you want somewhere in between. And what we'll do is go to normals, drag off this for bump map, a bump, and then from the bump, I want to add a height, and I'll say noise. I want to add a noise texture. There we go. Then it will go crazy. There you go. It look horrible, right? Increase that roughness, increase the detail, and the scale. You're gonna just drag this in. So we've got loads of bump, and now I'm bringing this down, the strength down, so it's really small. But if I zoom in, you can see it's got these little bumps just to give it, you know, some kind of noise detail. It's not perfect, but it's got some kind of texture to it. Okay, that's all I need to do. Now you can play around with these settings until it's something you like, but that's all I needed really. Now if I click here on the scene mode, you can change the lighting and you can see, especially using the blender lighting here, you can see it's very hard to see on the screen, but you can see those little bumps of texture there. Once we add the light in the scene, you'll be able to see it better. But apply that same material to this plane here, and now you can see it across here too. Now the glow, this plane that we called the glow, I'm going to call this plate. I'm going to rename this one plate. Okay. And I haven't applied that Boolean, so if I ever wanted to change that gap, I can go in here and, you know, I can say, oh, I want a bigger gap around the dial. You have that option to go back in and tweak that at any time to change the look of it. Anyway, the glow. I'm going to apply a new material, and we're going to scroll down to emission, and you're going to give it a color. Now this can be any color you want. I'll start with orange and bump up that emission. Okay. Now because we're looking at it through Eevee, I'm going to just turn on the ambient occlusion, and on the distance I'm just going to make this a bit extreme and just set this to 12. There we go. And blue. Now we'll change this environment lighting. So see how this looks. Not looking bad. Let's look at the glow and let's bump up that emission strength. That's looking nice. If we was to turn off the scene world, you'll see, you know, it's got a nice glow to it. There's no lights, but yeah, it's up to you how much strength. You can play around with that strength or how much glow you want from that dial. Yeah, and we can play around with the strength here as well. Okay. Now I'm gonna go here and do a side view, vertical split. I like to do vertical split. Add a camera. Okay. Move this camera up. If I hit 0 on the numpad, 0, it will take me to that camera view. If you don't have a numpad, say yours on the laptop or whatever, you can go here. There's the shortcut 0 and then the home key. So we want to do, if you hit home on your keyboard, if you don't have a home key, then you can frame it like this anyway. And then what I like to do as well is click on the little, you know, the little side panel here on view, and I want to click camera to view, lock camera to view, and then the shortcut to collapse this box is N. That just collapses that. Now I can move this camera. As you can see now, because it's locked to the view, you can see as I move this camera, as I navigate the camera, moving the camera around, the camera moves here, or I can move the camera in this viewport to get the shot I want. Okay, so there we go. Now I want the camera to always point at the dial, so maybe we want to add a constraint to this. So we're going to click on the add a constraint on the camera, track to, and our target object will be this dial. So no matter where I move this, you see, I'm just dragging this anywhere, and you can see it's always going to look at it. There we go. We've got a nice cool dial. Anyway, let's just add some lights to this. So the reason I like to do split screen like this one, so I like to turn the gizmos off, and I can just see it as it is in Eevee here. And you know, if I want to look at it from above, if I pop out the menu here and just set these cameras to 0, 0. Oh, there's this camera. There we go. Anyway, you can see now we're looking at it straight down. Yeah. Oh, I guess I assume the constraint to is, yeah, the rotation is affecting the rotation, so it overwrites this rotation. Yeah. So if you don't want that, you can disable this. So if I disabled it, then hit 0, 0, 0. There we go. Now I can rotate the axis of that. There we go. And I can choose where I want it. But yeah, I like to use the constraint in this one, so leave a constraint in there. There we go. There we go. Now you have a dial. If I rotate this, go this up and down, and you could animate this inner glow if you wanted it to light up. So as you dial it up, you can make this glow. Normally, I'll take something like this into Ventus, which is allows you to create interactive experiences, touch screens, big screens, small screens, any size screens. It's a fantastic tool. But if you just want to render something cool, some nice UI, nice little product here. So something from Microsoft or something. I remember you could light this as well. I didn't add no real lights into the scene. So I could drag in the area light or something, get some shadows and stuff in here. So let's rotate this. Let's push it over here to the side. Let's just increase that. Now get some kind of shadows in there, But yeah, play around with that. I ain't gonna go too much into the lighting and EV and stuff like this, but you get the idea. Hopefully it wasn't too complicated. Like I said, it's just a cool hard thing. And like I said, like this ring here, I think I'll reveal too much of it. So where that cylinder is, I can go in here. And if I look at it from above or below, it doesn't matter. I can select this cylinder, scale this in, so turn it off, and then I have a smaller ring, and with the glow, this can be any color. Again, you got the option here to change your emission. We started in orange, perhaps you want it blue, something like it was elixir. There you go. Play around with it, have fun. I'm gonna just be a little bit extra now. Let's go switch to cycles. So this is just me messing around now with the lighting, but I can go to cycles. I'm going to change this to GPU sampling, GPU compute. Don't worry about this. I'm recreate notice. It's about it's telling me, oh, you can change the RGB colors on your motherboard and all of this fancy stuff, but I don't like the RGB stuff. Anyway, I just turned the denoising on. Now, if I was to use, I don't know if any of you seen me use the gobos before. If I go to my asset browser, I've got the gobo lighting, and I can add the gobo lighting just to give it some extra, something cool. I don't know, what should we use? Do you want some leaves? Let's drop some leaves. I know it's a bit random, but yeah, we got some leaves. Finish, boom. Just adds some detail without having to do anything. And if you don't want the leaves to be as sharp, the cool thing with the gobo lighting is you can just go here, radius, and I blur them out. A little bit out of focus, but it adds that nice, detail. It adds some kind of depth to it. Just adding that, doesn't have to be this. It don't have to be leaves. It can be geometric. Maybe you want some weird wiggly lines. So this is a cool tool. Yeah. Just depends what you want. Play around, experiment. There you go. Looks kind of cool. Again, I don't like that, but best choice. Maybe you want some grids, some leaves, some caustics. Yeah. And there's animated ones as well, some abstract. Maybe we'll go from abstract. Let's try an abstract one. Let's try this. And all these just drag and drop. Kind of like that. Maybe I want to bring this in. So get all this streaks. But yeah, have a play. Try different things out. Hopefully it was useful. Enjoy your morning, day. Oops, you can bring your strength down as well. Try different environments. Um, you don't need to use the blender ones as well. You can bring your own ones in. I have the ones from the Polyhavens plugin that I got from um, what's it, Blender Market. You know, want to drop that, you just drag and drop them in. There you go. And you can use those HDRs to light your world. And you can see how much effect they have. Some are overpowered, so you might want to go in here and bring the strength down or up, entirely up to you. But yeah, midday, afternoon, so forth. Strength down. There we go. It's finding that balance, what works for you. But yeah. Anyway, thank you again. If you did find that useful, let me know. Some it might not have been. I might have been waffling on too much. But yeah, enjoy your morning, evening, day, or night. Like I said, change everything. You don't have to follow along. You know, that plastic div, I wanted it not to be white, and I want it to be like black. You see how simple it is. You can make your own version of this. It doesn't. I'm just showing you some simple things, and then you can, you know, take this further or expand it, or take this into something like I said, take this into Ventus or Unreal and make it actually interactive um as well, you know, an actual interactive component. But yeah, enjoy your morning, night, day. Thank you again. If you can, hit that subscribe button, um that would be most helpful. Bye bye.